When people ask me how I ended up studying in the United States, I always smile because the truth is, it wasn't something I planned. It wasn't something I even dared to imagine. It was something that happened because of a chance encounter, one that changed the direction of my life. I grew up in a small town in South China. My family gave me the one thing that mattered most, the belief that learning could open doors. I studied English the way some kids practiced piano, every day, quietly, stubbornly, even when no one was watching. I never thought it would lead me anywhere beyond my classroom. Then, in the summer of 1984, everything changed. Our school received a special assignment. A group of American World War II veterans, men who had once fought for China, were returning to visit the places where they had served. The school needed student volunteers who could translate. I was nervous, but my teacher pushed me forward. "Rain," he said, "you have the heart for this." On the first day, I met Mr. William Harris. He was in his 60s, tall, with kind blue eyes and a voice that carried both strength and gentleness. He had flown supply missions over the Himalayas during the war. When he shook my hand, he held it a little longer than expected and said, "You remind me of the young people who helped us back then." For the next week, I walked with him through old airfields, memorial stones, and villages that had changed so much since the 1940s. I translated his stories, but I also watched him rediscover a part of his youth, sometimes with laughter, sometimes with tears. And he watched me too, not in a grand, dramatic way, but in the quiet way older people observe the young, noticing how I listened, how I tried, how I cared. On the last day, he said something that stayed with me. "Rain, you have a bright mind. You should study in America." I laughed. I thought he was just being polite. America felt impossibly far away, another world, another life. But 2 months later, a letter arrived. It was from Mr. Harris. Inside was a handwritten note, an application form for a college in California, and something I had never seen before, an affidavit of support signed by him. He wrote, "If you choose to apply, I will stand behind you. You helped me return to my past. I want to help you walk toward your future." I read that sentence again and again. My hands were shaking. In the 1980s, studying abroad wasn't common. It required courage, paperwork, and money, none of which I had. But here was someone who barely knew me, offering help without asking for anything in return. Not through an organization, not through a program, just one person reaching out to another. My parents were stunned. My mother cried quietly at the kitchen table. My father said, "If someone believes in you this much, you must try." So I applied. I filled out forms late at night, practicing my English essays until the ink smudged. I mailed everything with a prayer. Weeks passed, then months. One winter morning, a thin envelope arrived from the United States. I held it up to the light, afraid to open it. When I finally did, the first word I saw was, "Congratulations." I didn't scream. I didn't jump. I just sat down on the edge of my bed and let the world tilt gently around me. A girl from a small town, with one suitcase and a heart full of hope, was going to America. When I wrote to Mr. Harris to thank him, he replied with a single line I will never forget. "Rain, someday you will help someone else the way someone once helped me." I didn't understand it then, but now, standing here on this campus, thousands of miles from home, I think I finally do. My journey wasn't just about education. It was about kindness passed from one generation to another, across oceans, across cultures, across time. And that is how I came to study in the United States, not because I was extraordinary, but because someone chose to believe in me.